this video, we're going to take a look at the top 3 crypto airdrops to farm according to ICO Beast. Now, if you don't know this guy, he's pretty big on X, almost at 50K followers, and he's rapidly over the last year or so been climbing up the ranks in terms of credibility when it comes to farming and trading, but definitely mainly farming crypto projects. And recently he tweeted out his top 3 targets, and they are Yeet, Liminal/Hypercore, and then Abstract. And so in this video, I'm going to walk through each one of those and we're going to break down what it is, whether or not it's actually a solid potential target for airdrops, and then I'm actually going to show you what you need to do to farm them. So let's start with the first one, according to ICO Beast, which is Yeet. Basically, just a casino. They're calling it Krypto's Casino. It's not the first, and it certainly won't be the last. They've got a bunch of different games on here, but the TLDR on this is that literally it's just straight up gambling. However, they did raise $7.75 million to build this product, which means they have a solid amount of capital to back the token when they launch it. And they do have an airdrop campaign on the go. They have a point system, and they tweet out periodically which games that you can play to earn points multipliers. So we've got a confirmed airdrop with the point system, we've got a decent amount of funding, and we've got the basics of what this platform is. Now, when you put all that together, I would say, in my opinion, this might be a solid farm. However, the fact that it's a crypto casino makes it a relatively high risk farm, because of course you could actually end up losing a decent amount of money if you play around with something like this. Now, I asked ICO Beast why he thought that Yeet was his #1 target, and according to him, it's under farm, they've got a good amount of capital, and they're backed by good people. So when you put all that together, I would say maybe it makes sense to try it out, experiment with a little bit of capital. Definitely don't use any money that you would actually be scared to lose. I just loaded up a few dollars on the platform here, and we'll try and experiment with a few games. But the TLDR, in terms of what you need to do to farm this, follow them on X if you are going to farm this airdrop, and make sure that you're staying up to date with all of the various points multipliers, because some of them give you bonus points. So I think, yeah, this was their most recent tweet from literally like 15 minutes ago, and you get a 2x multiplier on points on this Plinko game. So let's find the game here in the list. So when you play, you have to select the currency that you want to use up at the top here after you signed up for an account. If you've accidentally selected, or there's a default selection of a different currency, it won't let you actually start the game. But once you've selected whatever you have the balance of, it's as simple as choosing the bet size. And then, oh yeah, you can increase the number of rows. I guess the more rows that you do, the higher the potential multipliers. So yeah, I don't know, let's just do 10 rows, minimum bet $1, see what happens. Hey, okay, so I hit a 3x there. I feel like with games like this, they always let you win the first 1 or 2 to get you kind of into it, and then after that, you end up just losing over and over. Anyways, I dropped it a couple times there, so we actually are up to 24 in total, and I want to see if I can find my points, because they said there's multipliers in the points, but where actually are the points showing up? Okay, well, I cannot for the life of me find out where the points actually would be. I feel like it should be in rewards, but I'm just not seeing it. Maybe it's actually associated with the rank, and you rank up faster. But yeah, it is pretty obvious what you need to do to farm this one. Just make sure that you're playing with the highest multipliers that you can for points, and try your best not to lose money. Now let's move to #2, which in my opinion of the ones on this list here, probably has the highest potential. And that is Liminal/Hypercore protocols, including Hyperunit. And really, I'm just gonna take this to mean Hyperliquid, because we've got the yield Legos here. So Liminal is this new app that just dropped, and basically you make a deposit and it automatically trades for you delta neutral on Hyperliquid to farm funding fees. So you get actually a pretty solid APY for that, but then you also get points for the Hyperliquid airdrop. Then the other one that he's mentioning, Hyperunit, this app that you can use to bridge directly to Hyperliquid spot with these 4 assets. And all that you really need to do with this one right now is bridge in and then hold a balance. So I bridged a bunch of Farcoin in and I'm just holding it with Hyper Unit. Now I guess I'm getting kind of ahead of myself here because let's rewind a little bit and talk about why this might be a solid farm. So Hyperliquid itself allocated 31% for the Genesis distribution, but they still have almost 40% to allocate for future emissions and rewards. So future rounds of the airdrop and farming incentives are definitely yet to come. And of course, the value of the Hype token is massive, making this a very, very solid farm. Then, of course, when we do these activities on apps like Liminal or Hyperunit, we could potentially hit multiple different airdrops. We've got the Hyperliquid, the base layer one, but then these apps might launch their own tokens, and by interacting with them, we're getting that solid Lego. And then, of course, by getting the APY on something like Liminal, we're also just earning money on our USDC that we're farming with. So these ones, I would say, definitely solid airdrop targets. I have much less hesitation when it comes to something like this than, for example, Yeet, although I do actually see a world where something like this could cook. Now, if you want to take all this on board and then also continue farming Hyperliquid and the Hyperliquid EVM, I also recently dropped a full-length tutorial video going through some of the better ways that you can farm that. So I'll drop this link down below if you haven't seen it already. Altogether, this one makes up a very solid opportunity. And by the way, I didn't talk about funding really because Hyperliquid is not necessarily a VC chain, but all we need to know is that the FDV of this project is currently sitting at $35 billion, and the fact that they have nearly 40% of the token supply yet to distribute to farmers for airdrops or in other incentives. This is kind of all that we need to know here. Okay, and the third and final one on ICOB's top 3 farms is Abstract. Now, I've been talking about this for a little while, and I do agree that it has potential, although I definitely would rank it below Hyperliquid, Liminal, Hypercore, etc. And that's just because it's another kind of generic ETH L2. It's one of the few remaining L2s that's actually worth farming, but there's not necessarily anything that special about it. They tried to become like the streaming center for gaming and all kinds of other crypto streaming. But realistically, when we look at the numbers that these streams are pulling in, I don't know. I don't see it being that successful in replacing Twitch or anything like that. Abstract, or the parent company of Abstract, which is Igloo, raised $11 million to build the chain, so a solid amount of funding. They're also just part of the whole Pudgy Penguins ecosystem. We got the Pudgy token and then the Pudgy NFTs. So there's a lot of money behind this and also some serious backers in terms of the quality of the people building it. So when it comes to farming it, basically what you have to do is go to the Discover section and just experiment with all of these different games. You can load up a character in the Gigaverse game and experiment with this. And when you do stuff and interact with the game, you end up making transactions on Abstract. You can play the Death.Fun game, which I also referenced in one of my previous videos. There's Myriad, which is kind of like Polymarket, except on Abstract. So it's like a betting market. There's OpenSea, you can buy and sell NFTs on Abstract. And so I am going to be personally experimenting more and more with Abstract, although just the basic fact that it's another ETH L2 makes me kind of rank it a little bit lower. Like it's not actually that bullish because we just have so many ETH L2s. So while I do think that it doesn't hurt to mess around with it and farm it a little bit, I would certainly not classify it in the same category as, for example, the Hyperliquid ecosystem, which just has so much more to it. But maybe I'm wrong. Either way, all 3 of these are worth experimenting with and checking out. So shout out to ICO Beast for his little list, and that is my take on his top 3 potential farms. Hopefully you found this useful. Thanks for watching and have a great day.